Welcome to E4 Electric live from Bangkok, Thailand. And that's what we're actually going to talk about. I know this is an electric car channel, and I've been doing electric car news and all that stuff for what, already like 7 years, which is kind of insane. But some of you throughout the years, for some reason, actually got to know me and even like me. So a lot of you have been asking me to give an update about my new life. Now, back in the day when I left the United States, I've posted, I think, a couple of videos on this channel about why I decided to leave. And I think even my first impression of living here for a couple of weeks. And I will give you a quick synopsis of kind of update on why I left, but I kind of wanted to concentrate on telling you guys something that a lot of people will never be able to tell you, is what it's like living somewhere outside of the United States after living in the United States for a while. And I will get to your comments at some point for sure. As you know, I try to get to everybody. And let me know where you're watching me from, and also how many countries have you visited. And another thing we're going to talk about today, because this is actually a big deal here in Thailand, and everyone's boiling about this ad from Apple. And it's like a 10-minute advertisement of, I think, an iPad or something like that Apple does. I'm not an Apple guy, but so this ad is essentially takes place in Thailand, and it really makes Thailand look like an outdated third world country in many different ways, which is just not true. Now, it's kind of weird that Apple still has the marketing department that it had couple of months ago when it made another commercial that a lot of people got really upset about. But this one is just, I'm not that, I'm not a woke guy, right? So I'm not that upset about it. I think it's just sad that Apple hires people who have absolutely no clue about what it's like to be in other countries. And just generally speaking, if you're going to come to a country and shoot a commercial where you sell tons of different devices. We have tons of Apple stores here. Every other person does have an Apple iPhone and iPads and everything. If you're going to come to that country and shit on it, especially in a not very fair way, then I just don't understand how this even works. But essentially, the commercial kind of showed like it's a really poor country. The air conditioning doesn't work. Like the airport doesn't work, even though we have a state-of-the-art airport with way better technology than in many other international airports. And how there's no air conditioning. You have to look very hard for places like that anymore, especially if you're tourist. In this case, these guys are not even tourists. But listen, we can talk about it in a bit. But let me tell you about my story. Let me tell you about why I left America. So originally, because I left America for one reason and I stayed in Thailand for a completely different reason. So I left America because I was a single guy, and I didn't think it was a big deal once I got out of my last relationship, which actually lasted for 7 years. I've always liked dating traditional women. And it was never a problem. I kind of thought that, hey, as long as you're a good man, and as long as you I have a good job, good income, educated, I don't drink, smoke, do drugs or any of that. I come from a good family, and all of that stuff. You would always have a good, a loyal woman next to you. And that's always been the case in my life. Until that one last time, which has been now 5 years ago. I realized that, and at that time I moved to Sacramento because I already had a house there, and I was starting my channel, and I wanted to go full time, and I already owned the house outright, so I didn't have to have as many, expenses. So, and I thought, well, maybe it's Sacramento because it makes no sense. I meet a girl on an app, and we chat, we might be video chat, and we agree to meet for a cup of coffee, and then she just doesn't show up. No warning, no follow-ups, cannot reach her, and that started happening so often, and stuff like this started happening so often, and I was like, wow, that's maybe I'm in the wrong place. So I moved, to a different location, and I realized that, oh, crap, maybe it's me. Like I don't know. I don't know I mean, I feel like I'm a better man now. I'm a wiser man. I make more money. I have more hair. I did a hair transplant at some point. I have more hair. But at that time I realized that, some of my, because I didn't have too many single friends, but I started realizing that some of my single friends are having the same weird kind of a dating experience that we never experienced before. And then I started seeing influencers just come up on this topic that never was talked about how men were giving up on dating women altogether, just kind of keeping to themselves, or the topic of passport bros. And I was like, what are passport bros? And turns out it's men who, like myself, who want to continue dating traditional women, and they just go overseas to find them in more traditional countries that still kind of have traditional values and family values and stuff like that. And at that time, I wasn't that well traveled at that time. I was always afraid of flying until I realized I had to fly to do this channel. And I literally had to, I was so scared of flying, I literally had to take 3 months worth of therapy to be able to get on a plane. And now I've been to 26, 27 countries. Actually, I just calculated, I've been to 7 countries just this year so far already. So I love traveling, and I kind of at some point came to a conclusion that, maybe, by the way, I hate the name passport bro, just freaking hate it. But I was like, all right, listen, maybe I should do it. And I researched this and talked to my friends all over the world who lived in other countries, who are Americans, lived in other countries. Researched it and ended up kind of having a list of countries where I would be interested in going, where I felt like the culture was traditional, where my friends lived, and especially countries who actually allow you to stay, indefinitely. Because a lot of, like, for example, I love Vietnam. Vietnam was kind of almost my number one choice, but Vietnam does not allow an American citizen come in and live there for more than like 6 months without having a job that will give you like work visa and stuff like that. So there were a bunch of countries on my list. Thailand was one of them. I had the most friends in Thailand who lived here and kind of told me what's going on, what to expect. And a lot of passport bros were going to Thailand. Now, Thailand is also relatively close to Philippines, only like 4 hours of flight. And I said, all right, well, let me go to Thailand. I was already left at that time. I left California because I knew that California wasn't for me. And I was kind of traveling around America, and I found a new home at Houston. But I was already kind of living out of 3 suitcases. So I was like, well, it's just another flight. I already have my shit together, right? So I sold my gun. I sold my ID4, the Volkswagen ID4, which I know you guys heard a lot about. And off I went to Thailand. By the way, that was not an easy decision. I wasn't like one of those people who like, yeah, why not? No, I knew that I would be ending my life in America, my family, my friends. Obviously I keep in touch with all of them, but it's a different life. But I said, listen, I'm 45 at the time. I need to do something about it. I would like to be married one day, and something I would actually never even thought about doing in America, actually getting married, signing papers. Sounds like a disaster, but in a place like Thailand where there's no punishment for getting it wrong and getting divorced, I was like, all right, okay, I can do that. So so I just want to let you guys know this was not an easy decision. So off I went, and when I came to Thailand, I fell in love with everything. So except for one thing, and I'll tell you what that one thing is. But I also wanted to say that I did go to Philippines, and I ended up visiting. I think I've now visited like half of the countries in Southeast Asia and just Asia, whatever. I've been to China, Taiwan, Japan. Just went to Korea, Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, and I might be missing 1 or 2. But I feel like I moved around. By the way, I might be one of the few people in the world. What's it called? Hashtag humble brag. That you ever know who actually been to all big 3, China, Russia, and America. There are actually very few people I realized that visited all 3. Anyway, so I kind of fell in love with Thailand for all reasons but one. And the one reason was, I came here and obviously I started dating Thai women. And I even tried some foreign women. I was like, well, foreign women probably wouldn't be that modernized here because they have to compete with Thai women. No. They brought their delusion with them, and actually I don't know till this day a single, or heard of a single Western expat, female expat who lives here, who actually ended up ended up in a serious relationship with another foreigner or a Thai person. I know that happens. I've seen YouTube videos, but very rarely. All right, somebody in the chat, Butch, says, I have a vacation in Thailand, Lapu Lapu. Actually, Lapu Lapu, I've been there. The problem is it's not in Thailand. It's actually in Philippines, in the Cebu province, which I actually enjoyed greatly. They had this beautiful garden of, I think, 10,000 roses. And I thought, oh my God, 10,000 roses. How do they keep count? Even though it was still beautiful, all roses were electric little roses that lit up. But anyway, so and so I came here. I started dating Thai women, but I was like, well, that kind of feels the same, same replies on dating apps, same not willingness to meet, same attitude, and then I finally realized that, okay, well, I'm dating Thai women who speak English, that are Americanized and Westernized. So that's why I'm having the same Thai women who actually are traditional, that I men like me looking for. Well, turns out that they don't speak English, and I understand. As a matter of fact, I kind of like the fact that there's a wall built around them to protect them against the Westernized culture, and that is learning Thai. So I started learning Thai. Pasa Thai pom mai di loi krap. My Thai is still pretty bad. It's probably one of the most difficult things I will have to accomplish, this decade. It is extremely difficult. I can get around, and I can have a very kind of I've dated women here who don't speak any English, so I take classes, 2-hour classes every other day. It's been a challenge, but one day I will be able to get there. So it wasn't the women that I ended up staying here for. It actually was pretty much everything else. And let me just start. And this is, I think, this is the meat of this video, and this is hopefully what you guys, why you guys are tuning in. So let me start with the most important thing. And I know it's a cliche, maybe, but it's not. It's not for me. Thai people. One of the things that I really did not like about, specifically in California, though I do have to say that when I traveled through more conservative states, and I ended up in Texas. And by the way, I'm an independent. I do not like either party. I personally don't like either one of the candidates, by the way, even though we have a new one for the Democratic Party. Don't like them. But so it wasn't a political thing. It's just I noticed that in California, people just were not very respectful anymore to each other, and it just, I mean, it was just the culture just, I felt like, was just, again, when you're not nice to a neighbor, right? When you see somebody, like I ended up living in an apartment complex in Oakland, California, when in a bougie one, like really expensive one, and I ended up coming to the elevator with people who I've seen before. We know we're neighbors, and not a hello, not how are you, nothing. Like, just like people, and this is even not the worst behavior, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it. Let me know in the comments here in a live chat if you feel that people are less respectful to each other on the street. I don't mean on Facebook and political debates. I mean just on regular life on the street. If people are less polite, if less kind and less respectful to each other, just in the regular life. So I and when I came here, guys, I got to tell you, not only have experienced the kindness and respect and everything from Thai people, and I was like, whoa, like they treat foreigners here really well, but they treat each other exactly like that. I like how everybody wise at each other. I don't know the English makers here is called a Y, right? You essentially, and the general concept, don't quote me on this because I almost don't want to look it up, because in my head it sounds so good, because somebody told me that when you Y at someone, you're not bowing. People think it's bowing. No, you are ascending your respect to the good part, the goodness that every human being has in another person that you're meeting. So I love that everybody, does this to wise to everybody. And I gotta tell you, with every day, I just became better and better and better person. And I wouldn't say become, I would say reverted to, because I feel like I was also a very kind person and very respectful and everything. And life in California just beat that right out of me. You basically, when you go about your business and every day, right? Whether you go to Starbucks, Chipotle, you go shopping, you go to maybe a live music bar or whatever, you either going to be taken advantage of, you're going to be a pushover, or you have to be an asshole, right? It's just one of those two. And I'm not a pushover. So I had to wear my asshole hat all the time, always push back, and it just hardens you. As a matter of fact, I think one of the reasons that my relationship also didn't kind of work out is because as I hardened, I made her heart hardened, and that, you know what I mean. So in it's definitely so refreshing every day. And by the way, Thai people work so hard all the time. And nothing I love the most, guys, is to go out and sit at like late at night at a little street food, little place, or even work around and see Thai people coming home from working hard all day, right? I mean, 12-hour days. A lot of them, don't always have days off, or maybe have one, and watch them go home tired and exhausted, and yet they will still smile at me. They still laugh and talk to shout, and you can't help but have all of your sort of worries disappear. So, like, if these hardworking people, that work way harder than me, right, for way less money, still smile at a stranger at the end of their day, what excuse does this asshole have to be grouchy and grumpy, right? And just in so many different ways. My, what do you call it? My It's been a while since I've been in therapy, but they call it the patience tank, right? It's always full, right? If I mean, once in a while somebody would do something kind of shitty, right? And I don't like it. And a lot of times it's another foreigner, right? And I'm not on the edge anymore, right? I'm like, all right, here they call it sabai sabai. It's like, what are you gonna do? Maybe he's having a bad day, maybe she's having a bad day. So it's just in it. So can emphasize that people in environment heal. It just makes my life amazing. But let's talk about other things. And this is where I wanted to talk about, this commercial that Apple put out, just kind of like talk, essentially marketing department of Apple must have researched Thailand by watching The Hangover 2, and then maybe watching the videos from like 20 years ago. Now, besides, let me just quickly tell you, the number of skyscrapers here that I can see out of my window is, I think, might just be more than like top 10 biggest cities in America combined, including New York and Houston and so forth. Okay, it's beautiful, it's modern. I mean, I live in one of these buildings. Little, just the quality of my apartment here, and even my bathroom and the shower is just so premier. The service here is premier. My internet that I paid $20 a month for is 500 up, 500 down, something that I couldn't even get in America, no matter how much money I paid, and I pay like 5 times more. I never had my lights go out. I never had my internet go out. My phone never lost reception for a second. Something that happened to me every year in America, right? So which one is a developing country? You tell me. But let's talk about something very important to me, for example, healthcare. So healthcare here, and obviously, I have insurance, and I go to one of the best hospitals, not just here in Bangkok, not just here in Thailand. We have one of the best hospitals in the entire Southeast Asia, with Western educated doctors. The whole place actually looks like a hotel. It's got restaurants in every building. It just really feels like you're in a luxury hotel. But of course, the most important part is the doctors and nurses and so forth. So it is, by the way, you can make an appointment by chatting with them on a chatting app. It's just so top of the line equipment, obviously, medication that's not even available in America. There are a lot of hanky panky going on in America with approving drugs and everything. But we have a lot of drugs here that are available, that are good, they're tested for decades, that are just not available in America. And I got to tell you, like, there's some health issues that I've had here that I had in America, and the medication that was available here for me just wasn't even available in the US. But let me give you a good example. So a few years ago in America, for some reason, I had some tightness, like my chest felt tightened, right? And I guess it was because of stress, because it ended up being nothing. But, and I had one of the best, PPO, Blue Shield California insurances out there. And, it took me 2 weeks to schedule an appointment with cardiologist, with a heart doctor, right? Even though I was like, hey, who knows? I might be having a heart attack tomorrow, right? And then it took another 2 weeks to send me to the heart test, right? I think it's called stress test. And then I think it took another week to get the results. And the only reason I got the results was because I had to call them and say, guys, what's up with my heart? To quote the modern philosopher of our time, don't. Okay, now I forgot it. You put in the chat. Stop playing games with my heart. There you go. The joke would have worked way better if I remember it on the spot. So anyway, 5 weeks of the guy who thought that he might be having some major heart issues, 5 weeks to get the test. Now, luckily it was okay. Now, very similar thing happened to me here. As a matter of fact, it was actually food poisoning. But once I got to an emergency room, unlike in America, when it's like, oh, my stomach hurts, they're like, well, let's look at your stomach. Here they said, hey, listen, stomach pain can be a sign of a heart attack. Kudos to the doctors in the emergency room here, where nothing like that I've ever heard, been done in America. So they basically said, well, your heart EKG was fine, but tomorrow, you'll go schedule an appointment with a cardiologist. So next day I woke up, I messaged them. I said, hey, I need to see a heart doctor. They're like, you want to come in the next hour? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I come in, see the cardiologist, and the cardiologist goes like, well, we should do the stress test. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what day should I come in for this? They're like, what do you mean? The nurse will walk you to the stress test. You're going to do it right now. You have somewhere to go? I was like, no. Let's do it right now. And then I go to do the stress test. And then the doctor is right there giving you the results within a second of the stress test being ready. So let's just compare 5 hours versus 5 hours, 5 weeks versus 2 hours. And I can go on and on and on. Unfortunately, I didn't have a very good luck with my health in the last year. Feeling better now, but just the healthcare here. And by the way, 5 to 6 times cheaper. Even though this is the best hospital, you can actually go to a government hospital, which are not bad here at all. And you can go just to a less expensive private hospital and then pay even less. And by the way, annual checkups here, unlike in America where they just do a few blood tests, they're very thorough. They will climb into every hole you have. Like my heart had 4 different tests just for my heart. They do all kinds of scans, pages and pages of test results from your blood, urine, spit, whatever they can find, right? So, I mean, just very, very, very thorough as it should be. I know other people who live here who've done it for the first time and discovered a lot of things that they normally wouldn't have discovered. One of my friends discovered cancer in early stages, 2 of them actually. So, I mean, healthcare cannot emphasize enough. And honestly, if that was the only good thing about this place, I would have stayed just for that reason. And that's one of the things I did not like about Philippines. I have to say that healthcare there, Now, let's move on to another extremely important statistics. An extremely important thing is that crime. Let's face it, America is quite a violent country. I mean, the mass shootings are now at least 1 a day on average, right? I've lived in places like Sacramento and Houston and Oakland and San Jose, in Las Vegas, and honestly, not good. And like I said, I'm independent, so I'm not a Republican, and I'm not a gun lover. I don't like guns, but I ended up getting licensed, which was really hard to get in California at that time. Now with the Supreme Court decision, it's much easier. But I ended up getting my license to and got all the training and background checks to conceal carry a weapon. So I carried a gun. This guy, this nerdy guy who doesn't like guns, carried a freaking gun with him everywhere he went. You know, did not like that, by the way. You know, I mean, first of all, I like to dress well, and you cannot wear tight clothes if you're carrying a piece under. I mean, it's heavy. You have to go and practice regularly, so you're up to date with your skills. You know, and you have a freaking live gun on you, right? So it is, you know, and also, but like, it's okay. So I felt better once I got a gun. That I was like, okay, I can defend myself. But what about my girlfriend or my mother or my sister or my nieces or whatever? They don't have guns, right? So I had to worry consistently. All right, now let's fast forward to Thailand. Now, I'm not saying there is no crime here, but there's almost no crime here, especially talking about the violent crime. Now, we did have recently a mass shooting, which I'm not really sure if it's qualified, because I think this asshole, I don't want to say only killed, but fortunately only killed 2 people. And this was a huge deal, right? And this is first time in many years here. And it was a huge deal. The security went up and all of that stuff. I have not seen, forget about gunshots. Like I haven't, by the way, this is a gun-friendly country. There are tons of guns here. A lot of Thai people are gun owners. I have not heard gunshots or seen a gun unlike in the U.S. I haven't heard anybody being. Oh, we did have some homicides here, but this was foreigners coming in, and that happened. And you guys probably heard in the news about hotels. That's how rare it is here, right? You hear it in America when we have a bunch of foreigners coming in, and I think they poisoned each other. So, and here women don't even think about walking down. Like at first, I would be like, "Oh, you walking home at 2 o'clock in the morning in the dark little street?" And she's like, "Yeah, what's wrong?" Yeah, I'm like, nothing ever happens. I mean, I don't want to say nothing ever, but pretty much almost nothing, almost never. So just knowing that you're safe at all times, you know, and then your family and friends and other people are safe at all times. And by the way, you know where it comes from? The Thai culture. This is a Buddhist culture. This is a very, you know, respectful and kind culture. So these are not violent people. They're very kind people, you know, and this is why I wanted to start, you know, my list, a long list of why I stayed here and can never imagine going back to the America. No offense to you guys. I know a lot of people get offended. Like, Alex hates America. Alex doesn't hate America. I mean, obviously, I have a lot of friends and family live in America. My company is an American company. My audience is mainly American. But for me, I can't imagine. I can't imagine going there. So crime, right? Let's move on to another one, food. Now, let's just set aside the fact that the delicious, fresh food is freaking everywhere. You guys should be surprised that my body is not this freaking fat, because it's hard to describe. When I say food is everywhere, I mean the food is everywhere. I can go right now, it's 1:30 in the morning. I can literally and you guys are going to think that I'm full of shit, but within 2-minute walk, I will have at least 10 places who will cook a amazing meal for me right now. It's insane. So food and drinks and large amounts everywhere at all times, delicious. But here's the thing. This food is very differently sourced, right? You can almost say it is mainly organic food here because there are no GMO bullshit here. There is no majorly post-processed stuff here. Now, I do want to be fair and say that a lot of obviously organic stuff has to be grown with some pesticide, right? And there is some MSG added in some cases here. But again, personal experience, and I know many other people who have experienced this. So I was gluten-free in America. I wasn't gluten. I didn't have an allergy, but I had an intolerance. What does that mean? Eating anything gluten, which means wheat, right? Bread, pizza, any of that stuff would make me sick. Like if you were to eat like spoiled milk with some 3-day-old fish that was running, you know, sushi that was sitting out on the sun, right? You would just get major. So that's how I would react to eating a wheat, because it's GMO, post-processed and everything. Here, I eat gluten covered gluten with gluten filling all the time. That is the difference. Like my body literally just tells me, can't have it in America, absolutely can have it in Thailand. And by the way, many other countries as well. So the food is sourced and essentially organic in a completely different way. By the way, if you think, but most Thai people are skinny, and I don't even mean like fit skinny, I mean like skinny, skinny. And it's not because they don't eat much. Trust me, this culture evolves around food. Food is like a made. I mean, if you've ever seen any documentaries or what's that guy who died? But the Thai culture evolves around the amazing, delicious Thai food. So Thai people eat a lot, but because the food is not crap inside, they don't get fat, right? As a matter of fact, if you look at the statistic, an average life expectancy of a Thai man, because I looked up man, but it's also a woman, is years longer, 2 or 3 years longer than the one in America, and that ties the food and crime and healthcare together, right? So it's absolutely amazing. Now, I can probably go on and on many things. I mean, I know I have a lot of questions here and comments. I'm definitely going to address all of them. I see a lot of them are from YouTube, some of them from Facebook, some of them from Twitter or X or whatever. But let me tell you another thing, which, by the way, is not a good reason to come here. Unfortunately, I see a lot of foreigners coming here because they can't afford their ass in America or in other countries, and they come here because it is very affordable, extremely affordable. You can live quite well on $2,000 a month here. So let me break down like my. I'm going to do kind of averages. I don't want to kill you exactly, but my averages is like this. I spend about a little over $300, $350 per month on my insurance. That covers literally everything. Now, there's no Obamacare, so pre-existing conditions are not covered. Luckily, my pre-existing condition only costs me about $100 a year, so that's fine. But everything else, it covers 100%. And I mean no deductibles, no co-pays, just everything, including medication. By the way, in hospitals here, when you go to a hospital, they don't send you to a pharmacy. They literally give you medicine right there. This kind of like pharmacy is just part of your experience there. Like you don't have to go anywhere else. I mean, you can, for example, if you're paying for cash, then of course a good hospital will have a high markup. You might want to go to a private regular pharmacy, but since everything's covered for me, so anyways, so about $350. Now, in comparison, I spend about $1,200 on my insurance in California, and probably another $300 to $400 a month in copays and all of that stuff. And also checkups if you add it up and average it out. So that's one thing. I live in probably one of the most luxurious apartment complexes in Bangkok. And I have a 1-bedroom. It's not a big 1-bedroom. I like small places, but it's 1-bedroom. I love my shower. It's beautiful. I live on the 20th floor. So I got also a nice view. We have amazing rooftop. If you guys see my videos, you probably see a lot of times I shoot it on the rooftop with an amazing view of Bangkok. We have 2 pools like hanging over the building with a view, 2 gyms, everything, 24/7 security, 24/7 service. The delivery stuff gets to your door if you want to. We have clubs, like when I have a private teacher who comes to me, and we like use this humongous facility where it's just like there's tables and couches, you can lounge around with a view and all that stuff, water and snacks or whatever. I mean, and all of this I pay $650 a month. Okay, just in comparison, when I lived in Auckland, I had 1-bedroom, which was bigger, granted, and I did have a bit of a view on downtown Auckland, so about like 7 buildings. I paid $3,500. Yeah. So my meals. So my most favorite meal, as you guys know, if you guys know me after, if you've been watching me for a while, I love Chipotle in America, and Chipotle was not that expensive. It was ending up my chicken bowl and my chocolate milk cost me about $15 in America at some point. No, probably 12. And now here, my regular meal is I go to this place where there's always this old lady that's selling me a sliced duck fillet over rice with duck soup, I guess, and the blood cubes. If you guys don't know blood cubes, it's just like basically it's chicken, or in this case, duck blood that's kind of boiled and like kind of almost jello that's cut off. I know you might sound disgusting to you. I love it. So and so it's again well sourced. It's a whole meal. It's lunch. I get usually pretty full, and that costs me, like, I would assume in America it would cost me, like in California, probably about $20, I would say. Here it costs me 55 baht, which depending on the currency exchange is about a $1.80. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still go to a French restaurant and spend just as much as you would in America, right? But generally speaking, like even McDonald's here, if you go to for one, I just compared it with my friend. We were talking, and I was like, he had a Big Mac meal, and I had a Big Mac meal. And I was like, well, let's compare. And so I think mine was about, no, I'm sorry, it was a filet of fish meal. So mine was 99 baht, so that was a little under $3, and his was like 8. So again, it is American restaurant, so it's not as much more cheaper, but still. Let's see what else. So I decided not to have a car here because I mean, honestly, I decided if I'm starting my life over, I want things better, right? And driving is a shitty chore that raises your blood pressure and stress. And I don't want to do it anymore. And it's a waste of time. What can you do while you're driving? Pretty much nothing. I mean, you can listen to podcast or maybe a book, but that's not, I'd rather be on the back of a car, someone driving me, and I can either sleep, check on my messages, listen to a Thai lesson, or do my Thai homework, or just get my laptop out and work, because 5G here is lightning fast. So I it's not called Uber here, it's called Grab. We have another company called Bolt, but I use Grab most of the time. And by the way, even that, there's like 10 different things that you can order. You can have a motorbike taxi where you just jump back on a motorbike and they just go through traffic, and instead of an hour sometimes that you have to spend in traffic, you'll be there in 10 minutes. You can get the tuk-tuk, which I actually kind of hate. You can get a regular taxi, you can get a regular car, you can get a premium car, you can get a van, you can get an SUV, you can get a luxury car, you can get a driver to come and drive your car, and I think I'm forgetting a couple. But anyway, so I only use that whenever I need to go somewhere, whether it's an hour away or 5 minutes away. I get into a car, and I think it total, right? So basically, like, I don't have to deal with insurance or own a car or drive, and it saves me tons of time. So that cost me about $500 a month. Now, by the way, food, I don't really know how much. I don't even think about how much food costs me. Not much. So what else? I told you my internet is about $20-something a month, and it's 500 up, 500 down, which is insane. I can like I'm streaming live on like a bunch of platforms, and I probably could have done it directly and still not even bother my my connection. So anyway, by the way, feel free to ask. I'll start switching to talking to answering your questions, but it is ridiculous how much lower the prices are here. So, and just generally speaking, guys, like the transport, we have a SkyTrain and a subway and buses and trains and cars and bikes and whatever you want. Everything is clean. When you walk into a restaurant, for example, everything is so well thought out. The decorations, the attention to details. I mean, the service is ridiculous. Most of the restaurants have somebody standing outside inviting you in and showing you the menu, just with pictures or whatever, right? And a lot of times at the restaurant, when you come in, somebody will be literally standing next to you, waiting on you the entire time. And, you know, whenever you want something and whenever you raise your eyes, boom, there's a person there helping you. It's unbelievable. Oh, by the way, let's talk about technology here. Like, you know, I was in Europe last month, right? And I wanted to, I bought a business class train ticket, right? Business class train ticket. And I was like, well, how do I use it? Like QR code? Will you guys? They're like, oh no, you have to print this thing out and bring us the printed ticket, right? You know how I pay for chicken on a stick for about 30 cents on a street vendor, right? On a little cart, bank transfer, QR code, bank transfer. that's just how much easier to operate here. Like I don't remember paying cash for anything like anymore. Everything's bank transfer here, which is like can't couldn't do it in Europe like that. So, and of course, credit cards, and it's like just everything is just so much better in every single way. Like I said, even when you go to a restaurant or whatever, it's everything just little decorations and little, it's almost sometimes like some of these places just little amazing museums of cool things. So it is just amazing in every single way. So and the thing is, my life in America wasn't even that bad. My life in America was kind of good. I made good money there for sure. And I drove nice cars, and, I had the best insurance that I could, and I carried a gun for my safety. I could afford that. That was not cheap, by the way, guys, just gun training, gun expenses. Even if you wanted to, if I, when I went to practice every month, at the shooting range, the rounds are very expensive. I believe the box of 50 was like at some point $40. So it's recommended that you shoot at least 100 rounds once a month. Well, with a fee from the range and everything is $100 just to go practice for 30 minutes, right? The cost of gun, the cost of license, all of that stuff. So it is it is amazing and wonderful. And the problem is like, I keep going back to the shitty Apple commercial, and I hope somebody gets fired for this commercial. It's just like Americans and Western people don't know about it. They think it's a third world country or developing country, and everyone lives here and shit, and then not. And it's literally the other way around. If you think about all of the things that you really want out of the quality life, like healthcare, safety, happiness, good food, good drinks, and not be bankrupt after all of that, it's all here. It's all here. Now, there are other countries besides Thailand that can offer this, right? There are some countries, like, for example, if you're into something in particular, that will offer more of that. Like if you want everything freaking clean everywhere at all times and people wearing ties and suits, then there's Japan, for example. I was in Tokyo. I really, it was one of my least favorite cities in the world, Tokyo, that I visited. But I'm just saying, there's just other countries that you can go. It's not just Thailand. But I'm just, if Americans were actually told and given a real information and real 411 on what it's like living in another country, I think Americans would go spill out on the street and overturn the freaking government, demanding the healthcare, the safety, whatever it is, right? Because everybody likes to talk about this bullshit. Oh, I'm pro-gun, against gun, and or the immigration. But at the end of the day, nothing gets done. This is why I'm independent. I mean, I've lived in America for over 30 years, and I've seen the Bush and Clinton and Obama and Trump and Biden. At the end of the day, have we gotten better healthcare? You can argue in some ways yes because of Obamacare, but you can argue in some ways no because it's becoming more and more and more expensive, right? But it's just, I'm telling you guys, it is wonderful here. Now, I do have to say that not everybody can do it, right? For two reasons. One is I know people have kids and families, and luckily my parents are healthy. They take care of each other. They're still together. My sister is there. I have nieces, and they have their own support system, so they don't really need me. Some parents need their kids. I don't have any kids of my own. I'm able to work, obviously, remotely, and technically I don't really even need to work anymore. So like some people do come here to retire also on top of that, because the Social Security money, that people receive, America, more than enough to live very well here. So a lot of people come here to retire, and I'm kind of lost for words here. So that is my update. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about it. Like I said, my dating life here, I can talk about it, but and I do have to say that the women that I've dated here that do not speak English, or traditional Thai women, are amazing and wonderful. I just didn't find the right one yet. My Thai is not good enough to find the one yet, but I'm working on it. I'm definitely in the right place, right? Like when I looked in America, like here's a good kind of way for me to look at the dating pools in America and in Thailand. Like an American dating pool for someone like me, it's kind of like going fishing in a pond where you can see that the chemical factory is dumping the chemicals into the pond, into the lake, and the fish is basically like, oh geez, I think I pulled my muscle, and the fish is all dead, and you go like, well, no matter how good my bait is, no matter how far I can throw my line from my fishing rod, I'm not going to catch anything. There's nothing left. Here, I feel like it's a pond, a regular pond, and there is some fish in there. I just need to learn how to fish, get the right bait, get the right equipment, maybe get a little bit further into the water line. You know what I mean? I feel like I can do it, and I see this already. I just need to learn better Thai. I just need to be able to do that. All right, let's get to. I'm going to start with the best comment that I've received so far. Joanne says, "Alex, I'll come there and date you." Well, everybody is welcome, but I won't. But we both will have to learn Thai. So, all right, I'm gonna go through all the comments. Automation 111 says capitalist propaganda is very brainwashing in America. They think the rest of the world is all dictators and people living in mud huts. Now, okay, I think I'm a big guy on taking personal responsibilities, which, by the way, that's another thing. People take personal responsibilities. Let me go on a little tangent. I just went to the safari world here, where animals roam free and you can come up to them in a car, or we were in a cage truck to feed the life. But some of them, like giraffes, you can come up to like platforms so the giraffe is face to face to you. If you didn't see my video, check it out. I just had a video that I filmed essentially with a giraffe. And I love giraffes. Now in America, that would never happen. You can never come up and spend time unsupervised with a giraffe, petting the giraffe, saying, "How are you doing? I'm going to scratch you behind the ears." But here it's kind of because, oh, someone's going to get hurt. The zoo's going to get sued. No. If you're an idiot who wants to maybe like poke the giraffe's eye out so it will snap your fucking neck, tough cookies. No one's going to accept that lawsuit over there. People will be like, "Oh, you're being an idiot with a wild animal and you died? Thank you for letting all of us know that there's less idiots in this country now," right? So it's not an official policy. I don't want to speak for Thai government here, but that's how it is. So personal responsibility is big. And so going back to this comment, listen, there's nothing that preventing Americans to find out about what the life is like in other countries. And I think we've all, and you guys have all seen surveys where you see that the education levels, the food. Even just look at the life expectancy. Just look at how long a Thai man lives versus how long an American man lives. Right? It's easy to Google, right? So Google that stuff. But also, instead of buying your fucking iPhone 15, extra that money and travel. And by the way, that's another thing. When people do travel, they don't do it right. People go to Mexico to a Puerto Vallarta resort where essentially, or really any resort or any tourist area, and even when people come here to Bangkok, they come to this particular area. I see all of you motherfuckers there thinking you're in Thailand. You're not in Thailand. You're in a place that Thailand built for you, but you're not in Thailand. But so when I go to other countries, I literally stay in an Airbnb and not a hotel if I can help it, because sometimes these are sponsored trips. But what I do is I go outside and I walk through all of the regular neighborhoods, and I go and sit in the parks, and I sit in the coffee shops where there are no other foreigners, and I watch people live their regular daily life. I don't look at tourist attractions or historic centers and all that stuff. That does not tell me anything about current culture and how people are. I go there and observe people in their normal daily lives. I watch them. I watch couple hold hands. I watch people play with their kids in the parks. I watch people walk their dogs, like regular stuff. That's how you get to know another country. So if you do not travel, take that money You don't need the latest iPhone. It's exactly fucking the same as the previous one, as the previous one, as the previous one. Okay, and go travel. And again, please, when you travel, actually get to know the people where we travel. Watch some YouTube videos about how to behave yourselves. Also, like I see a lot of people not knowing what's respectful and disrespectful here, and they do this shit all the time. It's just like I go like, oh God, you're embarrassing me. So do that. You will see that even you may not always agree or like the way other people live, it sure will give you a perspective. But if you truly are going to visit a good number of countries, you will see that in a lot of times there is a better way to live. That's the somebody says, what is it? IR, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce. Travel and get lost, and adventures await. But even if adventures don't await, like I don't feel like when I go to other countries I have adventures. I mean, I have adventures, but most of the time I don't have adventures. I just have a very just normal day with very normal people of the country. So I invite you guys. It's just such a must do. And I don't mean that I'm not talking to Americans. I know a lot of you guys, especially in the beginning, you told me that you live in different countries. Just go to a different country. Norway. Norway, beautiful country. Way too expensive for what it is, first of all. And secondly, I can feel that in Norway and a lot of those Nordic countries, everybody lives within kind of a same level, which is very high level of absolutely great. But if you want to be entrepreneur, if you want to work a little harder, if you want to make a little bit more money, it's almost socially unacceptable there. I was just in Sweden and I observed the same thing. Like everything closes at 5 p.m. essentially. Nobody works on weekends, even dealerships. I was walking by dealerships in, where was I? Sweden or Austria? I think Austria. And the dealerships were closed on the best days to sell cars when everybody else is out and about with money. And then of course everyone in right now is taking 2 months off in summer, which is like, that's not a productive society, I think, that I would want to thrive in. So Norway is not for me. India, I'm gonna go with fuck no. Okay, I'm sorry, but India is what this commercial should have been about. They should have shot this in India, because I went to New Delhi, and I know a lot of friends from India, and it is that's a third world country. That is a third world country. Absolutely no thank you. Absolutely no thank you. What was my job in America? It's the same as it is right now. I am a YouTuber. Before that, I was a web developer and software engineer. All right, same person is asking. Singapore. Haven't been to Singapore, but honestly, it's kind of like if you want to visit Asia but spend 5 times as much. Yeah, so actually tomorrow I'm meeting for somebody who's just about to come to, she's probably on a flight right now to Bangkok from Singapore, and she wants to move here. I hear wonderful things about Singapore, but like I said, the price is too high. New Zealand, no, this is just so far away. I like to travel, and New Zealand is too far, and also New Zealand is one of the most expensive countries for no really good reason. So no, thank you. Let's see another comment. In America, they will literally throw food in a dumpster while people go hungry, because if they were to give it away, they would not maximize profits. I mean, it's kind of true. It's kind of not true. But honestly, I have a love-hate relationship with poor people in America. I'll give you a good example. So my last girlfriend, probably not a secret to you guys that, in the last 15 years in America, I've dated pretty much only black women. And so, and in places that had a large black population, it was not cool. People would literally hackle you and insult you if you're walking down the street with a black girl and you're a white guy. And I remember one time I went to this restaurant. I really loved it. It's called Everett and Jones. One of the best barbecue I've ever had. Oakland, California. If you're ever there, go. It's a wonderful place, family owned and all that stuff. And I went there, and it's not cheap. Okay, it's not cheap. It's worth it, but it's not cheap. And I remember we were leaving, and that place was very community-based. So all of the leftovers, all the leftover food, they would feed the homeless, which was a lot in the neighborhood, right? And I remember paying for my food, going out with my girlfriend, going to my car, and being insulted and heckled by the same homeless guy who just got the food that I paid for free, right? So honestly, I there are some things that I'm not really that cool with. And when I lived in Sacramento, California, the number of perfectly healthy, normal people who just do not want to work and receive a lot of stuff from the government, including healthcare, which I had to pay for, and essentially I paid for it and then paid for their healthcare, is staggering. So don't get me. I'm not that cool with just saying how poor people are so poor. I don't mean money wise, it's like poor them. Some are unfortunate, very unfortunate. And I have, when I lived in America, I've been donating to two different organizations that were for underprivileged people. But I this does not resonate with me. I'm sorry. JPM says healthcare, crime, foods, seems like it's everything but the sex tourism. Well, no, we definitely have sex tourism here. And it's well, I mean, Las Vegas has. I lived in Las Vegas. Las Vegas has also sex tourism left and right. However, I can argue much easier that American singles market is one sex tourism that's sponsored by Tinder and Bumble. The number of women that flat out ask for money. I mean, they call it sugar babies, but I call them subscription prostitutes. And how it's allowed on the dating apps. There used to be, if you're a hooker and asking for money, you will not be allowed on dating apps because there's dating apps. Tinder, Bumble, they're all cool with it now. So essentially, I think sex tourism is much wider. It's just maybe you call it differently in America, but essentially most men have to pay money for sex in America. I'm not exaggerating. If you guys are married or in a relationship, this probably sounds crazy, but it's true for us single people. Let's see. Alternate reality, which by the way is a great name for this live stream. It says, but it is nice to be able to take advantage of money in lower income countries. I don't know if I'm taking advantage. I mean, I kind of lived very modestly there. And I think I lived pretty modestly here. I think it's one of the best things that I've learned how to do, and it wasn't even hard, is that my happiness and my lifestyle does not depend on money. I can live very modestly and still very much love my life. As a matter of fact, I think money complicates a lot of things. Like, I love not having a car, having to worry about it, insurance, all of that stuff. It's just such a minimalistic lifestyle that I think I'm living. Maybe not all the way, but definitely more than other people. In America, food does not exist in order to feed people. In America, food only exists in order to maximize profits for a company. But that's fine. It's fair. But people should demand better, right? People should demand better laws that regulate this, right? People should demand, if anything, better labeling, which I think is people are coming around. But also, people got to vote with their money too, right? How many of you, decided to go to Chipotle, which is one of the healthiest places you can go, because one, it is no GMO at all there. All of the farms that Chipotle contracts out with are only have to be certified where they treat animals humanely. And many other reasons why to eat at Chipotle, because it's healthy, but people don't. People eat burgers and steaks and pizzas and all that shit. So a lot of times people make their own bad choices. There are definitely healthy choices, including cooking at home, that people just don't take. So again, I'm a big person I'm big on personal responsibility. Alternate reality says, I've lived overseas in India. Sorry to hear that, for years. And at the end of the year, just a walking wallet to them. Yes. Like I said, I have nothing but bad things to say about India. I'm sorry. I've been to many countries, like I said, 26 or 27 at this point, to quite a few of them more than once. Okay. Mexico, Sweden, Vietnam, quite a few I've been more than once. And I've never, and I know I look like this. So in a country where everybody knows that I'm a tourist, people will take advantage, and that's fine. I understand people want to make a buck, but never I have felt that literally everybody around me trying to scam me aggressively as I was in India. So no, I'm sorry. There are very few countries that I would be like, fuck this country, I fucking hate it, India is definitely on the top of the list. And I also don't like how they treat women. I mean, it's just, yeah, no, sorry, India is not for me. Alternate reality says, at some point in your life, you'll be glad that you have a house in Sacramento to fall back to. I actually have other houses. I have a condo in Houston, and I had a house in Las Vegas. I just sold it, and I am in process of selling my Houston condo because I actually don't want to depend on people in America anymore. Because my Houston property was occupied by somebody who specifically knew he wasn't going to pay me rent, and it took me a long time and a lot of money to evict him. The management company never told me he wasn't paying, which I'm assuming they were actually getting money from. Then I hired one and another management company who just did not want to do their job. I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to lose my money on this Houston property, but I'd rather be out. I'd rather invest into like stocks and funds and stuff like that, where I don't have to depend on management companies and repair people and HOA associations and tenants. So it's just my Sacramento house is just sitting there, which is fine. But I think at some point I will sell that as well. Yes, American culture is dog eat dog world, cutthroat, authoritarian violence. You can still have a culture where that's very capitalist, but people still polite and respectful with each other, low crime. Going back to Norway and Sweden, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a capitalist country, it's a capitalist society, but they're still very nice to each other most of the time. People who have no economic home resort to crime and violence. That is the United States for you, but that's not Thailand. I mean, people generally are poor here, much poor, I gotta tell you, and they don't resort to crime and violence. They resort to kindness. Tracy says that I live in San Diego. When I say hello to 20 or 30-year-old while on a walk, there's usually no response. 40 and up, I get more response. Yeah, I mean, not gonna say, I think the young generation that's kind of leading this new culture in America is rude, disrespectful. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's by the way, I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave. I felt like I had to leave, because I had a good life there. And like I said, my friends, my family, there's a lot of places that I love. Oakland has one of the best jazz clubs and one of the best barbecue and soul food places. Las Vegas, obviously, there's a lot of amazing shows and food and people entertainment. Sacramento has free healthcare apparently, but and Houston was amazing. I had such a great time in Houston. What a wonderful city. But I had to go. Renting Red Tea says last year he found a cancer mass in his leg, and it took 2 months for them to start treatment. I don't know who you're talking about, but I'm sorry to hear that. And yeah, that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. Economic despair and lack of public services breeds crime in America. Like I said, doesn't breed crime here. Let's see. Yeah, this is a great comment. Number one cause of bankruptcy in America is healthcare costs. It absolutely is. By the way, Thai people have free healthcare. And like I said, even the hospitals are not as good as top of the line, expensive private hospitals. It's actually not bad at all. As a matter of fact, I believe the royal family goes to a government hospital here that's accessible to other people. And I know quite a few of my Thai friends that go to a Thai hospital, to a government hospital, not because they definitely can afford a private one, but because it's like closer to them and they believe the service is just as good and the care is just as good. Let's see. Pattaya Man live. Pattaya is one of the cities here, probably my least favorite city, but let's leave that for another day. He says, my primary care is at Bangkok Hospital. The service is fast and excellent. Yeah, that's right. There's a Bangkok hospital here in Bangkok, but there's one in Chiang Mai. When I was visiting Chiang Mai and I needed care, they took care of me. And by the way, extremely affordable. Let's say, best of luck in your wanderings. I hope you will find what you're looking for. I already have. I already have. I'm almost there. It's the journey, not the destination. I absolutely agree. It's not a destination, it's the journey. I would probably also add, it's also about how you um, become a better person and a happier person as you go through that journey, right? Right. And yes, plenty of places in the world that are cheaper and better. Uh, America is the most terrible capitalist hellhole on earth. I don't know if that's technically true. But probably close. Like I said, I don't want to offend people who, like, most of my friends still live there. Most of my family lives there. It's just I'm gonna say it. It's not for me. And I think if people would discover other parts of the world, um, they would probably feel the same way. By the way, am I streaming live on? Am I streaming live on? Twitter. Oh, my friend from Las Vegas, another much more successful YouTubers watching me. How are you, Wade? I hope you getting your videos done. Let's see. Am I streaming on Twitter? Can somebody look it up? Let's see. I don't even know where my oh, it's X. That's why. Let me see. Because I'm streaming on like 5 different platforms, and sometimes I don't know if it's actually happening. Oh, look, it's me looking up whether I'm streaming on Twitter. Okay. Okay. So JR Gandara says I went a whole month twice a day to buy Coke in a lobby convenience store. On the build, I worked in the California. The cashier only started talking to me in the last day. Here in Brazil, completely different. Brazil is definitely a country I've thought about. I love Brazilian women, and but the crime is too high for me. Like I said, I'm really big on being in a place where the crime is relatively low. um just maybe I should move there with you. uh you should. I mean, if you can. Now, I do have to say, Joanne, no offense to you, but generally speaking, Western women don't do well here, because men who live here, either specifically like me, who came here for more of traditional women, or men who came here for other reasons, or Thai men who live here just got used to traditional women. So, unless you're one of those jewels that already traditional women are willing to kind of maybe convert yourself. Like I said, I don't know a single foreign man or Thai man who would even consider dating a foreign woman here seriously, uh, or a foreign woman who found love here in Thailand. Uh, let's see. In the USA, everybody is having a bad day because people can barely afford to live, and that is by design. I don't know what you mean by design, but um, this nickname, I don't know how to read Hebrew. I'm assuming this is right. Why won't you come to Israel? You're Jewish. Most of the people here are the standing English. Also, there are a lot of Russians here, and the people. Okay, so by the way, a lot of Russians is not a good thing. That's why I don't like Pattaya. That's like I don't like Phuket. Too many Russian people. I'm sorry. Too many of any foreigners is just, this is where people come in and don't want to integrate themselves into the culture of the country, and they live in their own community. They don't learn freaking Thai. They don't learn the culture. The other day, I tried matching with this Russian girl just to see if the world still makes sense, and it did, because she basically said, "Oh, I'm a Russian woman. I'm perfect. I'm so much better than Thai women because Thai women," and she went down all this list of shit that is not even true. She thought that her education was somehow important to men like me, which it absolutely is not. If anything, a lot of times it works, in the other direction. So yeah. Now, okay, so this is another topic I'm not sure if I want to talk about that much, but I am Jewish, but I don't like Israel. Before this war, I'm actually, I kind of feel sorry almost for Jewish people in Israel, because they were kind of backed into a corner, and now they have to fight this war that's a horrible war on both sides, and now it's probably going to get even worse. I'm not cool with all these innocent people that are dying, even though I know it's war that, again, Israel may just not have any other choice to do. But like I said, but before that, I did not like the way Israel treated Palestinian people. and especially I wasn't okay with occupied territories, with settlements on it, right? So somehow Israel just represents all Jewish people, right? And Israel does not represent me. First of all, secondly, I don't want to live in a country, honestly, unless like I had to, right? Where all the neighbors of that country just hate me, want to throw bombs and blow up the buses where I'm riding. So I don't, and like I say, I'm not that Jewish. I'm not religious. I'm an atheist, so I'm not Jewish by religion. I'm Jewish by blood. And you guys are not helping me be just minding my own business, being a Jewish person in another country, right? Um, Now, what's happening in Israel, and just like I said, I do think a lot of it is justified. A lot of it is also over the top. But now this new generation of anti-Semites that almost all college campuses have just produced, just endangering I'm no longer there, but my friends' lives who are Jewish people. I have a lot of Jewish people and friends who are basically saying, well, I'm wearing a Star of David, and I'm afraid that I'm going to get beat up if I go to a college campus, which sometimes people go to for some concerts, for some lectures and stuff like that. So this is just a bad situation. But I honestly, I don't want to go to Israel. I would go to Israel for example, they have a really advanced, it's a company called StoreDot that has um, really advanced battery technology. So if I have to come to a country to do a report on something that has to do with my channel, with my work, I will do it, right? But to live, sorry, I'm sorry, that country is not for me. No offense, I know I have relatives who live there. As a matter of fact, I've heard, and I think my parents hid it from me for a long time, that we're related to one of the prime ministers there that were like in the 60s or something like that. So, yeah. Paulie B says, wow, Alex, wrong country to start out with, USA. No, that's not the country I started out with. I'm Russian. I was born in Moscow, and my family, who's Jewish family, left Russia because of anti-Semitic movements and death threats and stuff like that. And we immigrated to America. And America was absolutely wonderful country for us. Just gave us so much future, gave us amazing, was very welcoming. The culture was great. California was great. Absolutely loved America for many, many, many years. Forever grateful for everything that I got out of America, the opportunities and everything. And I contributed back as much as I could. Yeah, but I was, I was in was born in Russia, and then we went to USA, and you should have moved to Southern Ontario, Canada. So I only went to Canada for the first time this year. I went to Vancouver, wonderful city, tons of electric cars. I played hockey for most of my life. Fortunately, I'm not playing here in Thailand. It's possible, but really difficult. But everybody loves hockey in Canada, so yes, it would have probably been cool. But honestly, too cold for me. You notice I'm in Thailand. It's never too cold. It's always either too hot, or like right now, it's perfect. If I wasn't doing this live stream, I probably would be walking around the neighborhood for a nice walk around our neighborhood where people are still selling food and doing nail salons, and massage parlors are still open. Cats are walking around. Already somebody replied with Canada sucks. Why? I don't know if Canada sucks. I thought it was very nice people. Okay, Matthew just joined, said, what did I miss? You missed my entire story about why I left in America, what I experienced here, how things are going with me, answered a bunch of questions. But I'm going to repost this video. It's going to go automatically back on my channel so you can check it out. But welcome to the live stream. I got a $20 super chat. That's pretty awesome. Thank you to Rob. Right now, I don't know if you guys know that my channel is not making pretty much any money right now. The sponsors, most of my sponsors were car makers, and as soon as I started criticizing them, they've all left. And I also changed the format of my channel into shorts, vertical videos. And I haven't really started looking for new sponsors, which is okay. But just so you know, the income that I do make off of whatever I get through Google is really the only income I have right now. So thank you for $20. If you want to know how much money it is here, multiply it by about 5, right? So it's like giving $100 if I was still in America. So I really appreciate it, Rob. Let me read your Oh, so because I'm using this third-party software that streams on multiple platforms, instead of having an icon like which is super sticker, it literally describes what it does. So I'm gonna go to this window here for uh for uh, um for the YouTube chat. Oh, it's so yeah. Pair character looking at himself in the mirror saying thanks for being you with hearts popping out of his eyes. This is exactly what I'm looking at. But anyway, thank you. I wish there was a question I could answer, but once again, thank you for that. Matthew says, I remember your bio sponsorship back in the day. Yes, it's listen, I really enjoy having sponsors because every single sponsor that I had, including Bosley, the company that did hair transplants for me in America, I really believed in their product or liked their product or was a user, right? When I was advertising Volkswagen, I bought a Volkswagen ID4, right? I didn't get it for free. That could have been part of the deal, but I said, no. Let me get it myself, and then we'll figure out the sponsorship. So also Matthew says, Alex, you should find a way to play more hockey. Do they have hockey here? They do have hockey in Thailand, but here's a problem. I'm a goalie. And in America, everywhere I went, everybody needed goalies because there's very few crazy people like me who want to take pucks in their face and never score any goals and pay 5 times as much for the equipment, because the equipment for a goal is very expensive. In America, I spend about $2,500 for my equipment, right? And the worst injury I've ever had was in hockey. I actually had a dissected carotid artery when a puck hit me, spent 15 hours in emergency rooms between the two, half a year recovering. So here they have it. But as I tried to join a league, they were like, what position do you play? I'm like, goalie, you ready? And they're like, oh, yeah, we have too many goalies. I'm like, too many goals? How can that be? And then I was like, all right, I'll just get my equipment and I'll maybe do some pickups. And I go, and obviously buying a hockey goalie equipment in Thailand is almost impossible. So I finally found a people who sell them, and I realized it's like $4,000. So I'm like, do I want to pay $4,000 to maybe play hockey with some people who don't really need goalies when I play soccer here 3 times a week? And it's great. I already made some friends. I don't have to lag a lot of equipment. My shoes cost me $100. So for now, I'm not. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pick on this comment. Oh, wait a second. Did I answer Matthew's one? So we play more hockey. Okay, yeah, I did answer it. Okay, Polly B says once Trudeau is gone, we'll get back to business. No, you fucking won't, man. This is what drives me crazy. Half of the country, whether it's Canada or America or France or whatever, believes that their guy or gal is 100% right and going to make their lives much better, and the other person is going to destroy the country. And neither one of those things is ever goddamn true. Are you 5 years old? I'm assuming you're not 5 years old because you have a YouTube account and a Google account. But if you lived for more than 3 presidencies or prime minister, whatever you guys have, you know that switching parties doesn't get you much. It doesn't get you much. What do you think you're going to have with, like, do you really think, like, Trump is going to just destroy the country? Yeah, maybe in some ways he'll destroy part of the country, but you know what? The left is destroying the country in many other ways. To be honest with you, I never voted for Trump. I don't like the guy, but I do like some of the things he's done for America, okay? And on the other hand, the reason I left America wasn't anything that Trump did, even though I think he's done quite a few bad things too. But it was really the culture that came from the left, right? This woke culture, this new modern woman that is undateable, it kind of came from the left. And I'm not blaming left more than the right. I'm just saying, wake the fuck up. Your guy or gal is not going to make your life that much better, right? You might agree with a rhetoric on stuff like immigration or abortion, stuff that really in your regular life doesn't really concern you, but your regular lives are going to be exactly goddamn the same. How can you not see that? The only way, if you want to change your life, you either need to stop worrying about politics at all or move to another country, okay? By the way, Thailand. You want to hear about America First policy? Right here. First of all, a foreigner cannot own land here. How dumb was American policy to allow foreigners literally own pieces of land, pieces of America. China owns half of America now. How is this even allowed? You can't do that. You cannot do that here in Thailand. Another great thing, in America, you can have places like Google and freaking Facebook hire people from India, like all day long, right? And it's okay. And essentially, Americans lose their job. And an American government will stamp those visas, work visa for Indian people and people coming from other countries, and including Russia and Ukraine, right? Here, hell no. You want to hire a foreigner? Fine, but you better fire 4 Thai people to 1 foreigner that you hire. Thailand first. And I'm a foreigner and I love this policy, right? I shouldn't own a land in a country that I'm not a citizen. I you know what I mean? Like it's incredible how people think that their gal is gonna be, it's not. I'm sorry, guys, just it's not. Wake the fuck up. It's not gonna happen. Matthew says, it's not the president, it's the bureaucracy. Presidents are for foreign policy, and that's a good thing. I agree. Presidents mainly affect the foreign policy that a lot of times doesn't really affect America that much at the end of the day, right? And bureaucracy, probably a few other things, Rob says, are we going to talk about electric cars now? Come on. This is electric car channel. Let's not talking about electric cars right now. All right. He says, Alex, I had a Cybertruck since February. It's okay. Not sure I'd keep it, but Tesla might blackball me. I have a Roadster on order. That's another thing. It would be nice if some of you who are Democrats let me know if you would ever want to buy Tesla. And if you would you feel like essentially you're donating to the campaign of the opposite party? If you're buying a Tesla, right? Giving money to Tesla gives money to Elon Musk gives money, he says he's not, but he is, to Trump. I feel like I just made a video, I haven't posted it yet. I feel like the Q3 sales are going to be disastrous for Tesla because, and there was a poll, there's a literally scientific poll was done how 1/3 of Democrats who were going to buy Teslas are now want to buy Teslas because of that, So I expect the Q3 of Tesla to be a disaster. You bought a Cybertruck in February. Jesus Christ, it's one of the first ones. I wonder how many problems you had or are going to have, but all right. Rob says, I like you even more. Love America / Thailand first. Yes. And like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter or Biden or Kamala supporter. I think they're both bad for America in 2 different ways. Equally bad, just in 2 different ways. The U.S., the honest broker, the U.S. is rich in part because of the openness to foreign investment. This is going to end up bad, right? This is going to end up bad because now America completely depends on China because China owns so much of actual America, right? I mean, we scream and say, oh, the civil rights and, the human rights and, this and this and that. But at the end of the day, you have to suck China's, right? In order to do business with them because China is so much invested. So essentially what you're exchanging is your country independence for money, right? Okay. Like I said, if that's what you want, that's fine. Just don't pretend like you're not, right? Don't pretend like you're not. That's exactly what's happening, the honest broker. They're paying you to take your democracy and consistently shrink it. If you're okay with it, that's fine. Like I said, I'm not even going to vote in this election because I shouldn't, right? I'm not really that involved anymore. V Ting says, I'm not in the US, but I would most likely identify myself as a center left. So maybe I'm like a Democrat. I am a Tesla shareholder for a few years now and have a Cybertruck on order. All right, so you're like a Democrat, but you don't really hate Donald Trump like Democrats usually do, right? So you don't feel like, if some of my money end up in Donald Trump's pocket, it would be a horrible thing, right? Now, by the way, I have no idea why anybody would be investing in Tesla stock. Someone's got to explain this to me. The Tesla CEO is now just working against the shareholders, right? He basically fired the entire team that was responsible for the most important and best part of Tesla product. And this is according to Tesla owners, right? Which is the supercharger network. And it's already, you can see the supercharger growth has slowed down. There will be more licenses at Tesla superchargers. There's less deals being made with the land, and it's going to be a disaster. And of course, the worst part is endorsing Donald Trump. Now, I'm not, like, endorsing either candidate would have been bad, but specifically the candidate of the party that usually doesn't like electric cars, abandoning a lot of your own base, which is mainly liberal people, or a lot of liberal people, and then essentially, basically, the CEO who does this, CEO who jeopardizes the sales of the company because he wants to be all righteous, which I guess he could be, just don't be the CEO. I don't understand how you can invest in a company like this, but okay, but I just don't get it. V-Ting says, the same guy says, I hate Trump as to what he represents and his threats to the democracy in the US. So why in the world would you buy another Tesla? You do understand, it is very clear now. You give some money to Tesla to buy the car. A lot of it goes to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk goes and gives it to Donald Trump, essentially. If you hate Donald Trump, why would you give Donald Trump money? That's the part I don't understand. Let's forget about Donald Trump himself or Elon Musk himself, right? Like, just live. I know everybody's triggered by those names. I get it. But why would you give your money to someone who you essentially think will make your life worse because he will ruin democracy in the US, right? I don't understand that. Jim Mitchell says, can you please describe what great things Trump did for America? So there are quite a few things. And by the way, if you cannot name like 3 things that the other guy did for America, you're kind of in a cult, because it's impossible to be a horrible president at all times, right? So I'll tell you a few things. And by the way, I don't want to tell you a couple of things that are just controversial, right? Well, actually, you know what? Let me tell you one thing that I know a lot of people think that Donald Trump did that is good, even though they're not Trump supporters. And then I'll give you my opinion, right? So this is other people's opinion. So for example, a lot of Jewish people think that they like Trump because of the Muslim ban. Right now, everybody says, "Well, it's racist. It's racist." By the way, there's nothing racist about Muslim ban. Islam is a religion. It's not a race. Okay, and unlike race, religion is a choice. So let's just cut that bullshit out. I know that was a trend, but that's not true. The thing is, as you know, we have a Muslim congressman, right? Tlaib, whatever, and she has openly tweeted anti-Semitic tweets, right? And the argument, and by the way, Democratic Party did nothing about it. So there's an openly anti-Semitic congresswoman in the U.S. Congress, and essentially the argument, like I said, I'm not saying I'm agreeing with it. I'm just saying there's an argument saying, like, well, if we don't allow people in our country who hate our country or hate people we like Jews, for example, maybe they won't become U.S. congressmen and essentially tweet stuff that essentially makes anti-Semitism mainstream. Okay, so I'm going to leave that argument there. I don't want to. It's a complicated topic for me to talk about as a Jewish man, but I'm just letting you know that some people who don't like a Trump, who are Jewish, like the Muslim ban. Okay, so now for me, I think the fact that Trump went to North Korea and sat down face to face with, yes, the horrible dictator, is a good thing for the country. What's up with these pussy presidents who say, oh, we don't like that guy. I don't want to have coffee with him. No, it's your fucking job to provide me, an American citizen, with security. And the way you do it is you go to other presidents of other countries. You may not like it, but there are other countries, and it kind of goes to the whole theme of this video, right, on this live stream. You may not like other countries, but other countries have their own things that they got. Some have dictatorships, some have, but you're not there. Okay, it's not your country. Your job is to protect my country. And North Korea was developing nukes and was really getting really aggressive, right? And Donald Trump went there and just sitting down and just acknowledging that there is another country with dictator we don't like, that cooled a lot of this nuclear threats down between North Korea and America. I think everybody benefited from that, right? So that's number one. Number two, I do agree with tax cuts. For example, Trump did pass the tax cuts. And you can argue that it's, rich people getting richer. No, I'm sorry. Rich people have paid way more taxes than everybody else. And a lot of this money goes to things that those rich people don't agree with. So you're taking money from rich people and essentially giving it to the causes that they don't want. And, I'm okay with having some tax cuts. I benefited from those tax cuts. And like, for example, take California. I paid a lot of taxes in California, though I understand that Trump did not cut California taxes. I'm not an idiot. But like, I don't like paying a lot of taxes in California. And that's why I left, because I paid the taxes, and then they give my money to people who should be working but don't. And so now their healthcare is being paid for. So, I like the tax cuts. There were a lot of other things that maybe he didn't do it like on purpose. But for example, remember when GM was up doing in some ways is brokering the deal between the Lordstown Motors taking over that factory, even though it did not work out. I like that, president got involved with Americans losing their jobs, and essentially having those jobs go overseas, and made sure that the business and stays in. We, for a moment, got a new automaker, right, in Lordstown Motors, and people who were going to lose their jobs didn't, and they ended up working for Lordstown, even for an extra year. I'm sorry. I don't care how much you hate Trump. That was a good thing that he did. Okay. So, maybe my list about things that Donald Trump did that are that long, but I think it's ridiculous if you're Democrats thinking that the Republican president never done anything right, and the other way around. If you're Republican and you don't think that Biden did a lot of great things for the country, or Obama or whatever, I'm sorry, you're just in a cult. I can't belong to that. You're welcome to be in a cult, by the way. There's nothing wrong with it if you want to be in a cult, but don't drag me along with you. Sorry. There's a challenging question. I like that. We got a discussion here. The Honest Broker says, you're doing exactly what you criticize others for doing, which is spouting off on the numerous topics in the face of contrary expert evidence and opinions. Okay, but can you tell me what those are? Like, again, like, you just accuse me of just like a general thing, but can you give me an example? Because this is literally nothing I can tell you or defend myself with, right? Let me read it again. You're doing exactly what you criticize others for doing, which is spouting off on numerous topics in the face of contrary expert evidence and opinion. Don't tell me there is opinions and experts, right? Like, I don't give a shit about other people's opinions. They need to be based on facts. So give me some facts that will tell me that I'm wrong, and then we can talk about it, right? Okay. Ron says, what you just said didn't make sense. Replay what you just said. Which part? Let me know. Made sense to me in my head. Sometimes it doesn't make to other people, but listen, I'm not even preaching. I'm just telling you there is opinion of someone who is not on the right or on the left. And by the way, people like me are the ones who are going to decide who your next president is going to be, right? So actually, if anything, my opinion is something you guys should really listen to, because we're in that 10% that decides the elections, right? Trump is more likely to avoid World War III. He's less of an imperialist, more of a nationalist. Yeah, he's more of a nationalist, right? And we do have a lot of things that are going in the world that, are really, really bad. And like I said, I don't think it's 100% his, he should take all the credit for it. But there were no wars that started, with America. America started during his presidency. I think he got a little lucky, but at the end of the day, facts are facts, right? I would be curious to see if he would just shut the fuck up about shark attacks and some other bullshit that he talks about in his rallies, and would actually tell me his foreign policy about what he's going to do with Israeli-Palestinian conflict. What is he going to do with Ukrainian-Russian conflict? Those are the two biggest topics right now. What is he going to do? I hear all the stuff that he's talking about that is just, but tell me your policy. I'd like to know, because otherwise I can't really say that I support him or not support him on the foreign policy, which who just somebody mentioned is essentially is most important thing that the president does. V says, I'm buying from Tesla. Musk doesn't give money to Trump. So there was at some point he was. I think he still will, because here's the thing. Let's talk facts, right? You guys want to talk facts? Let's talk facts. Elon Musk has created a. I don't think it's a super PAC. It's just a PAC, right? It's an organization that's completely separate from Trump's campaign, but essentially you can donate money to it as much as possible, right? Supreme Court says it's freedom of speech, and then it will start, let's say, paying for advertisement against Kamala Harris or for Trump, right? Why would Musk do that if he wasn't going to give some money to Trump, right? I'm not saying he's giving some money to Trump like he was going to at some point, but he would be paying to support his campaign. So what I'm saying is that if you buy a Tesla, essentially that money, some of it will end up in that PAC, and it will end up supporting the presidential candidate you don't like. I'm asking why, right? Oh, yeah, actually, I didn't read the rest of you. You just said Musk has a PAC called American PAC that gives money to politics, but Musk does not give Trump directly. What? Who gives a shit with money? Oh my God. It's like you go up to like, for example, let's go back to dating, right? I think it's a very simple thing to do, to come up to a girl at the bar and say, hey, and start a conversation by saying, hey, can I buy you a drink? Because essentially what you're saying, can I give you some money so you can talk to me? Because I think I'm not worth anything. And that's the only way that I think you should talk to me. I have no value besides that, right? And people say, well, no, you're just being a gentleman. You're paying for a drink. No, let's be honest. You're giving her money that she immediately hands it to the bartender because the drink is for her. Same thing. Who cares if Donald Trump personally touches your money? What I'm asking you is that if you taking your hard-earned money and buying something with it, and you know that some of your money will end up supporting the cause that you yourself said hate, right? The cause that I'm assuming you think is working against you as an American citizen, why? That's my question. There are legit answers to that, by the way, I think. But I like to know what it is. Okay, so let's pick this one. The honest broker. There are people who would argue you're a traitor for living in a foreign country and spending your dollars there. In reality, all those dollars return to the U.S. and it doesn't matter. Traitor. I think traitor is somebody who went to another country and did damage to the country he came from. I'm not doing any damage, right? As a matter of fact, my corporation is still an American corporation. I pay taxes. I also pay Social Security taxes no matter where I live. That's the law, right? I pay payroll taxes still. So but I don't see how I'm a traitor because I haven't done anything bad to America. If anything, I think I'm continuing to do good for America, including this live stream. Actually, I think this is good to educate some Americans on what's really going on. But but if people want to call me names, that's fine. It's just that's not the right word. Am I traitor? People called me a traitor when my family left Russia. Okay, but whatever. But make the country better. And it'll come back. By the way, I will come back to America if America will become better than Thailand. Then no problem. But I just don't want to live there anymore. It doesn't really make me a traitor. But okay. Let's see. Matthew says, while on the topic of politics, is anyone else confused as to why Netanyahu gave a speech to Congress? Same with Zelensky. I don't understand why these guys go to Congress and give speeches. Well, because I think Congress is a big part of approving budgets for those wars, right? And to support to Israel and stuff like that. So they come here and make cases to get some money and support, right? Jared the Geek says you can't give that much directly to a candidate. So, of course, it's through a PAC. Exactly what I said. People like that have zero understanding of that. Guys, since I bring up your messages on the screen when you kind of refer to another message, we're all lost, okay? Next message says the honest broker, microeconomics is not zero sum, unlike much of macroeconomics. It's win-win when there is a free trade. Okay. Who will be better for EVs, Trump or Kamala? I mean, I think it's pretty clear, but not pretty clear, right? I mean, obviously, Trump does not want the mandates on electric cars, so that alone makes whoever's the other person, Kamala, Biden, whoever. Um, by the way, I really didn't think that Kamala was literally the best choice. I think if I was to advise Democratic Party, I would probably go with Beto O'Rourke. By far better choice. Guys, in Texas knows how to appeal to the center. Not anti-gun is a big issue that turns a lot of Republicans off of to ever vote Democrat. He probably would have been. I think he would have been better. But Kamala is doing surprisingly way better than I thought she would, and anybody would. So I would say Kamala, but I think you spelled her name is wrong, by the way. But there's something to be said about Trump's view on mandates, even though there's no national mandate that he can change for sure. There's one from California, there's one from EPA for like 8 years from now. There's one for just government buying electric cars over the next 13 years. But there's, when he said that is really not true. But there's something to be said that, hey, listen, it's been 10 years since electric cars kind of came out with, Tesla and stuff like that. And I think 7 years as we've had the incentives and stuff like that. At some point, electric cars have to kind of kick the training wheels off and fly on their own. And, Tesla has already proven that, when the $7,500 tax credit expired, Tesla's sales continue going up and up and up and up because people saw the value in cars that were selling despite there was no $7,500 tax credit. So there is something to what Trump proposes electric cars do, right? So again, this is what Trump supporters would tell you how to interpret what Trump says, right? Is that he's not against electric cars. He is against mandating electric cars. He is for free market and let the free market choose what's good for consumers. There is something to be said for that, but generally speaking, if you ask me who would be better for electric cars, absolutely Kamala Harris. So, or whoever the Democrat is, right? Let's see. Rob says, "Thank you for having common sense, Alex. You could never believe you once lived in California." Yeah, but as they say, common sense is no longer common, right? I feel like there are very few people in the world really who share my views on stuff, unfortunately. And I think, like I said, I don't belong to either one of the camps. Same thing with electric cars. Some people think Tesla or nothing. Some people hate Tesla. People think I hate Tesla, actually. But I just think there's never one, very rarely, there's one side that's 100% right. Let's go on. Oh, guys, we're like almost at 2 hours here. All right, let me go for a few more, but I mean, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning and my voice is going and I have a long day tomorrow ahead of me. I love this, by the way. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to, I believe, Rob, who sent me $20 even. So I mean, $20 in 2 hours. It's a lot. It's more than minimum wage here in Thailand. No joke. And by the way, thank you guys for not being assholes in the comment section. Like, I had my button on, ban and remove, and I didn't have to do this at all. I feel like everyone's having a very civil discussion. If our country, well, U.S., would have this type of conversations, I think we would be in a better place. And again, I cannot stress enough, I am not preaching at all. All I want you guys to, I'm an idiot. I just got I should have muted Facebook. All right, sorry about that. I just want you guys to know that there's an opinion that's different than yours. Just like there are countries that are different than yours, and we like it, and it is. Oh, Rob just sent me another $20. Rob, you are the man. I really appreciate it. And once again, it is thanks for being you, says Rob. Thank you. I appreciate it. And what? Jared the Geek decided to one up Rob, but Rob, thank you. You're at $40 now, but thank you, Jared. just got this that I'm using, then my connection, off connection. So Rob says he's out, he's going to bed. As we hear, Fundy, have a good night. Where are you at, by the way, Rob, if you're going to bed? Um, but thank you and thank you to Jared the Geek for $21. I appreciate it. Let's move on and to the honest broker. It would only be temporary, of course, and then the high inflation would follow. Guys, can you put all like complete thought in it? Because I don't know what this is in reference to, and I think a lot of people don't. So put everything in one, Rob says go to sleep. I can't go to sleep. I actually have quite a few things that I have to do for work, right? I actually have some videos that I'm producing. Like, this is, as much as I love making $61 right now, I'm doing this for fun. I think obviously there's nothing to do with electric cars. I'm not making any money of this. There's no sponsors or anything like this. This is one of the best parts of my week. Just going live, chatting with you guys. I promised myself I'm only going to do this for 1 hour. Guess what happened? We're almost at 2 hours. All right. Jared the Geek says, as for the free market, there is no such thing. The government picks winners and losers all the time with subsidies. That is true. There's no such thing as a free market. Some of them are freer than others, right? Matthew says, Alex, you make a great case for America to emulate the Thai model of policy. You never hear anything about them, which is a good high. There's one thing that I forgot to mention, and it's a shame because and you guys feel free to tell me if you agree with me. As a white straight man in America, I felt that I was becoming a second-class citizen, and I think I said it in my last stream. Is essentially, and it happened to me multiple times. Where let's just took a simple example. If I had some really shitty service from a really rude waitress to the point where you have to say something, right? Sometimes you go like, I don't want to be Karen, but sometimes like, no, this is bullshit, right? And whenever I many times I would say something, and if the waitress was a black woman, for example, which totally happened, immediately I got accused of racism. That I'm a racist, sexist piece of shit, right? So I could not say anything. I cannot say anything about black people, gay people, any minorities, gay people, women now, Muslims, Jewish people, whatever. As soon as I say something, I'm a racist, misogynist piece of shit, right? And I need to shut the fuck up. And if I had a corporate job, thank God you can't take this job away from me. But if I had a corporate job, I probably would have lost my corporate job, right? So here, that's not the case. People say what they want to say. There's only one thing you cannot say here is completely illegal, is to criticize royal family. And honestly, why would you? I actually like that law here. There's got to be some standards of culture, and here it is, royal family, and shut the fuck up. If you have something negative to say, you cannot. And I'm okay with that. I like that, actually. But everything else, you can say stuff. You can say stuff because people say stuff that gets interpreted like racist. Like, for example, the Muslim ban, right? People say, oh, that's racist. It's not fucking racist. I'm sorry, but people all of a sudden had to defend themselves, saying it's racist. Whoa, I got more super chats. Rob, are you seriously? Like, I think this is the highest super chat I've ever had, Rob. You're gonna have to come here to Thailand. It says giant character waving of him tremble. I gotta look at that. Let me switch to that. Actually, that's what it is. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. Honestly, I'm kind of humbled because you almost spent $100 here, and I really that's a lot of money for me now. It really is. So thank you, and I appreciate the conversation. Oh yeah, Rob said Sacramento. Sorry, and I think Rob, did you have a question about what I liked or disliked about Sacramento? If you're still awake, can you ask that again? Because I wanted to answer that. Okay, Matthew says Scotty got his hands on a Ford F-150 Lightning. Oh yeah, and said it was a great truck, but the problem is that it was electric due to lack of infrastructure. There's a lot of charging stations, but not enough. That's actually a pretty reasonable summary of that. But I'll check it out. I did not see that. The owner's broker says, remember that when you see poor countries with economic policies contrary to those of the US, most of those policies are wrong. That's why those countries are poor. Many problems with the statements, right? What do you mean by wrong? What do you mean by wrong? Let me point out to you that everybody has a care. Everybody here in Thailand has health care, something that not the case in America. Just that alone, the policy of people not having health care as a basic, service from the government, like they have police services and fire services, is wrong. So no, this is right. I'm sorry. These people might be poor in general, but by the way, you know how many homeless people I've seen here in a 1 year? Probably 10. And I'm out all the time, by the way. Probably 10 homeless people. You know how many homeless people I saw in Oakland, California, or Houston, California, Sacramento, California? 10 per hour. And that would be a great hour if I only see 10, right? So I'm sorry, so people who are mainly majority not homeless, who do not have crime to worry about, like mass shootings and stabbings and robberies, who have basic health care absolutely covered, and you're telling me this is a poor country? In what way? Because they don't have as many iPhones 15s or Mercedeses? Like, we're in a wrong understanding of what poor is, So yeah, and by the way, look at the span. I said it's 3 times already. A Thai man just lives longer than an American man. American rich country, everybody dies younger than everybody else here. Like, what is your definition of poor then? Like I said, the number of iPads and hyped up Honda wheels or whatever people do with their fucking Hondas is not the indicator here. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's just we have different views on life here, which is okay, by the way. Just want to mention that. Let's see. The Chinese economic model has a lot to teach us. They put their capitalism in a cage so it can do a lot of damage to society. They make actual products instead of getting rich of financial gimmick. Yeah, listen, China has a lot of problems, right? But people consistently, especially, I think, what is it? I think it's on the right in America, right? With people saying, "Oh, communism is bad, socialism is bad." China's kicking ass. I don't agree with socialism per se, though we have a lot of it in America, obviously, just Social Security, for example, right? Or even the tax code. But China is doing pretty well, overall. And they're just about to basically dominate the world with electric vehicles on top of that, since this is electric car channel. I almost forgot. So yeah, no, there's like, that's what I'm saying, is like, you don't have to agree, but you have to understand that other countries have other ways how they live that they like better, or just better. The Honest Broker says Thailand's not poor because they've adopted so many great economic policies. Well, again, we just have a different definition of what poor is. To me, America is a third world country because crime is high, there's no basic health care, and people hate each other. No one's nice anymore. Again, it's just different definition. The Honest Broker says, you like laws that forbids criticizing royalty? I tell you why. I literally just told you why. I know your mind goes like, well, what do you mean? Freedom of speech? I'm telling you. Here's why I like it. I don't love it. I like it. Here's why. Thailand is a great country because of their culture. And a lot of times it's because it's a Buddhist culture on top of that, right? Culture has to be protected. Otherwise, it will be influenced by other cultures and essentially degrade, right? America could be a good example for that. What's keeping culture here in Thailand is, one, language, obviously, but two, that there is a general sort of set of rules how to behave and what the country is about, and that's instilled in the royal family. Essentially, the law protects the culture, right? The law protects the culture because essentially culture kind of comes from royal family in some ways. By the way, this is my interpretation of this. as someone who lived here for a little bit over a year. But this is why I support it, right? Now, I think the punishments are a little harsh. And the punishment is quite harsh, though they've made exceptions for people who don't necessarily mean and maybe insulted a royal family by accident, so it looks like they've been lenient to those people, but punishment is quite harsh. So but I like that. I like that the royal family, that love him or hate him, and it's they preserve the culture. So that's why. You know what I mean? That's why. By the way, you don't think there's a bunch of stuff that you cannot say in America? Absolutely. I just told you. I can't say a lot of stuff if I have a corporate job and I have an opinion on the Muslim ban, for example. That's not racist. Sorry. So you can shake your hand all you want, but it's good. This is why I came to this country, is for the culture. And the culture, and this is how they keep their culture in. So, but like I said, you don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you. You want to criticize the royal family? You live in America, by all means. I'm good with not being able to criticize royal family here, and I don't want to be honest with you. All right, you're gonna tell me what the word wrong means. Wrong means economically inefficient in terms of GDP growth. Who gives a fuck about GDP growth? You don't give a seriously. Who gives a fuck about that? I just told you what people do give a fuck about is that they're not afraid of being stabbed or raped or shot at on daily basis. What they do care about is that they can go to a doctor and it won't bankrupt them. You understand that? So shut the fuck up with this GDP stuff. And I don't mean to be mean to you, by the way. I'm just saying in general, people who think that the country is defined by their GDP growth. Fuck that. That is far more important than the cause diseases. yeah. We're just listen. I think you're wrong. You think I'm wrong, and we're just gonna have to acknowledge that there's a different opinion that exists, and kind of respect that. And like I said, if you want to live in a country that's defined by the GDP growth, live in that country. I'm not preventing you. I think that's great. I don't. I live in another country that's defined by other things, and I like it. We can just, it's just like, it's almost like criticizing, like, let's say if you're married and I think your wife is fat and ugly. Who gives a crap? I don't have to go to bed with her. You love her. You find her attractive. Great. You may not like my girlfriend, for example, right? Why? There's neither one of us give a crap about who are we sleeping with, right? So it's the same way. The Honest Broker again says, Alex, your definition of quality of life is relevant to whether the foreign investment is good. Yeah, that was a completely different point that I was making. I was making that Thailand first policy, like Trump's America first policy, which actually Biden, I think, implemented more in his bill. But that's what I was talking about. And it's a good policy, I think. But yeah, talking about on a completely different political level. Matthew says, I'm losing my voice. A lot of Asian countries like Japan, for example, hide their homeless of some kind of cultural reasons. Not sure if that's happening in Thailand, but if you saw some already, I'd assume not. How can they hide them? You mean in government housing? I don't think that's what's happening, but how can they? I mean, by the way, if you think I just hang out in Bangkok, you're wrong. I've visited quite a few, not just cities, but provinces where like I would be the only foreigner for miles. So there's nothing that they would be hiding from me. And as a matter of fact, it's the provinces that don't have homeless people. The only homeless people I've seen are all in Bangkok. Rob says, impressive how you can stream your conscious at 3 a.m. and make sense. So I usually go to bed at 4 a.m. My problem is not really staying awake. Like I said, I go to bed at 4 a.m. I wake up at 11. It's my voice. Unfortunately, my voice has been weak all my life. And now I have acid reflux, and that affects my vocal cords, unfortunately. Maybe you need to switch from EVs to politics. Just kidding. Well, don't be kidding. I think I should. But the problem is nobody likes my opinion. Nobody likes my opinion. As you know, both parties have monopolized. 90% of the country likes either one or the other party. someone like me can possibly appeal to maximum of 10% of people. And even those people, I feel like we're all independents are very different, right? So for me, safety and healthcare is very important, right? But for other people, like for some of my Jewish friends, is their anti-Semitic movement is more important, right? So even within those 10%, there is not too many people that would agree with me. But I'm not here to preach, like I said. Um, uh, Alex, you're confusing social and economic wealth. No, I'm not confusing it. I'm just saying social wealth is better. However, I think part of the social wealth is economic wealth. People will not go bankrupt if they had cancer here in Thailand. You understand? I mean, to me, it's a social wealth, but also partly, economic wealth. So I think they're really overlapping. But for my taste, I like this. That's all. That's literally that's it. Um, the honest broker says, Alex, go out to the provinces in Thailand and you'll see what difference GDP makes. Go into the bright markets. First of all, do you live here? Have you ever been to Thai provinces? By the way, I'm not taking a dig at you. I'm just wondering. Maybe you live here and you know something I don't. But I just mentioned this maybe after you already submitted this comment. I have gone to provinces. I actually go to province almost every week because I have one of my friends who lives there. And I'm telling you, people there still covered by government insurance, still go to hospitals, still live longer, still don't have any homeless on the streets, and are still very happy and eat healthy food. Still in provinces. Okay. The honest broker rightly says the U.S. was founded to explicitly reject royal rule and censorship. Well, sorry to tell you this, but with the last decision of the Supreme Court, and by the way, I also like half of the Supreme Court decisions and don't like the other half. This one was the worst. I think this is what ended democracy. Is there? And again, even though it was about Trump's case, but generally speaking, allowing immunity for presidents, whoever they are, is already ended democracy. So I'm sorry, you're back to royalties now. It's just a matter of who will use it first, right? Private censorships of the informal sort is a totally separate subject. It is a social ill. 100% agree. 100% agree. But I like more of a royalty censorship than the private censorship. If you like it the other way around, I don't have a problem with it, man. It's perfectly fine. If then you live in the right country. I like. Don't forget, I'm not preaching here. I'm just asking you to be informed about other opinions that exist, about other cultures and other ways of life that exist. That's all. And that's all. That's literally all I want to tell you. Rob says, I agree with you 90%. You know what? I will take that. 90% is not bad. I also don't agree with anybody 100%. Like, I follow some commentators, even though I follow both, like, for example, Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher, Destiny and Peterson, right? They're kind of on the opposite sides, but I agree like 50-60% with each, and also get to know the other opinion on the other side makes me a better man, I think. Steven says, yes, we do also have more moral compass than other U.S. Do not have. The freedom of speech, respect for other meanings, then more relevant for other than economics. It would be nice if you would have told us where you live. You might have. I just don't know. Can you please tell us where you live? I think I am up to date. Did I miss any comments? Oh, medical advice. Okay. All right. I'll take medical advice. Oh, guys, it's been now over 2 hours. Okay. I'm going to catch up real quick, and then I'm going to go to bed. For acid reflux, look up Dr. Jamie Hoffman. I followed her advice and cured terrible reflux. Thank you. But we figured out what's happening with me finally after a lot of different tests. So I know exactly what it is. I'm going to finish the medication that I'm on right now. And then if it comes back, and most likely it's fixed surgically. And I love my GI doctor. I think she's one of the best ever, just doctors in general. Like, she even told me, she's like, I know you're having a really hard time. We're not able to figure out what this is. It's lowering your quality of life. Would you like me to recommend therapy for you? Because I know this is something you have to deal with, mental health. Oh my God, right? Right? That is amazing. I didn't need a therapist, but the fact that she offered, knowing how much worried and frustrated I was with the process, mwah, thank you. Thai doctor, by the way. Um, all right. Alex, poor baby, about your acid reflux. I wish you were there to take care of you. Thank you, but I have a great doctor, like I said. All right, so I think I am all caught up. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I can do another live stream about it if you guys think that it would make sense. Um, I'm hopefully I won't have my, because I have so many meetings tomorrow. I better not lose my voice, and I have a 2-hour Thai class for which I definitely need my voice. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for the super chats that you've so generously gave me. I think I make like $100, which I did not expect. Thank you very much. Suggest other topics for me, by the way. I love hanging out. I thought about making this live streams not about electric cars, just generally talking about other things, because I feel like there's a small portion of my audience that just wants to chat with me and just know more about what it is, what the life that I live, which I have to say, I think I live an amazing life. I'm not going to lie. I think that I have been so lucky to do so many wonderful, amazing things and live in so many wonderful, amazing places that I have some interesting stories to share, So let me know if you guys want some other topics that non-EV topics, though I am obviously always happy to chat EVs with you guys. So, all right. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for behaving yourselves, even though I know some of you did not agree with me in portion, and some of you did not agree 100%. I appreciate your civil behavior. I appreciate your time that you were willing to spend listening to somebody you don't agree with. I hope I contributed a little bit to your worldview by telling you my story, by showing you and displaying some of my opinion. But I will see you guys next time. I'm going to try to do it around the same time. So it was 1 a.m. my time in Bangkok. I might actually do it around midnight next time, but approximately this time. So thank you guys. I will see you next time. And remember to stay charged.